Morning, Elephant Nation. So today we're going to do something that a lot of people is not because I'm so great at it. Excuse me. I just got out of the shower. But because I'm really great at it, which is how to deal with this online crazy Pokemon Go, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, endless kind of craziness of the online world in a way that can support your mindful craft or business, your cause, say your vegan, animal rights, political, social activism, which obviously is more important than ever right now. So I'm making coffee. I've been told the first couple minutes it takes a while for people to get on. We normally have about 150 comments, and we go for about 20 minutes, and it includes sitting meditation training from the Buddhist tradition, which can help you in whatever you're doing. Not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because it's incredibly practical to kind of connect to the present moment and to be able to deal with all the nuttiness that life is so full of. So, hello, Savannah. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them at any time, and then I'll go through all of them. So we do these every 11 a.m. MST, Mountain Standard Time. Literally mountain time. Mountains are right there, and the time is I'm slightly late. And for those of you who know me, that's pretty normal. And the funny thing about being late is everyone loves to blame you for it, but they don't mind keeping you late so that you're late to the next thing. But today, I have no excuse other than coffee, which is a great excuse. Like people's stickers and buttons say, but first, coffee. So I'd love to do this elephant live, but first, coffee. Alrighty, so we're going to do meditation. We'll go through your comments and questions, and hopefully I can give you a series of mindful, practical tips in terms of how to. I was thinking particularly about writers, whether you're a writer or a journalist, but we could apply this to social activism, to how to get your art out there, any kind of right livelihood. So on Elephant Journal, we have a section called Right Livelihood, which is a fancy Buddhist term for doing work that is actually good for the world, good for other people, and good for yourself. A lot of our work is like, well, I'm going to sell 8 life units of time to do this thing that I don't particularly believe in, to get paid not great money often with bad benefits, and then I'll be able to pay my rent, but then I'll have to pay rent again, so I'm going to keep doing that. And it's this sort of habit trail of work instead of something meaningful that's good for the world and good for us. And even people who are very well paid often get into that kind of cycle where you're sacrificing everything you care about in order to be able to pay for everything that you care about. So right livelihood is more the path of living a path of work that is a part of your life, that is a part of your path of service, and that is a part of what you love. And finding a way to be a benefit through that, finding a path that you're actually good at. Doesn't do any good if your right livelihood is something that you just are no good at. And finding a path that will also pay you real money so you can pay your rent. Alrighty, so I have if you don't have time right now, you can go to youtube.com/elephantjournal. That's my YouTube channel. It's kind of popular, which took a long time to make successful, and that's part of what we'll talk about today, which is the unglorious business of being consistent. But I have a much shorter video about right livelihood there, which is about the 4 principles of right livelihood. I just mentioned most of them, which is that you have to find something that's of benefit to all sentient beings, including yourself. All sentient beings sounds like a tall order, but the basic notion is that you're doing something that isn't bad for people, bad for our environment that people depend upon. Bad for animals, bad for, say, a nation's politics, whatever. You want to be creating some sort of peace or healthiness through what you do. So, Elephant covers a lot of natural products companies. A lot of them love to say things like 100% natural on the packaging, which means nothing. Natural means literally nothing. For some companies, it does mean something, but for most, it really doesn't, and it is not regulated. So, and then they're plastic packaged. So the thing is, once you kind of enter this path, you'll start. It's almost like having X-ray vision. You'll start being annoyed, or being annoying, more like constantly, because you start looking for integrity. You start looking for those who care, and that will not be most of the companies that you presently patronize, unless you're already on this path. Alrighty, so let's get super practical. But first, there's nothing more practical than taking a good posture. Let's all take a good posture and a deep breath. And we can bow to one another and bow to everyone else who joins. We've been getting, 10 to 20, 30,000 people on these, which is pretty fun stuff. And live, we've been getting like 15,000, and 150 comments seems to be our maximum. So if you feel like breaking that barrier, go for it. All right, take a good posture, deep breath. And with respect, we set our intention, which is to be of benefit. And then you can bow to one another. A bow is just simply a fancy sort of Eastern, although we bow in the Western culture as well, particularly, ironically, in the military. Alrighty. With one sip of coffee, my focus will emerge. Laura, you bet. Alrighty, so how do you become super popular? By you, I mean your craft, your art, your writing, online. So, for those of you who remember, there was a land that Portlandia had a lot of fun with, known as the 1990s, which, if you made an appointment with someone and someone was 5 or 10 minutes late, or waited on the wrong corner of a street where there's 4 corners, no one ever, your plans for the day were canceled. It was a dark era, pre-smartphones, pre-Pokemon Go, pre-Snapchat, pre-Instagram, pre-Twitter. People actually walked around and looked at trees and looked at the sky and talked to one another. I know it sounds horrible and shocking, but there were frequently these paper magazines in waiting rooms because people had nothing to do. So even then, we were trying to avoid what Buddhism would call hot boredom or cool boredom. We were trying to avoid ourselves by entertaining ourselves. We just had fewer tools to do so. Now we have too many tools. Can you imagine how many tools we're going to have in 10 or 20 years? I mean, it's a matter of time before you're going to be reading Elephant through your eye contact lenses that beam holograms right in front of you, and no one has a TV or a laptop. You're just watching movies right here, and then maybe you're driving and crashing. It's going to be a crazy world. Or actually, you won't be driving. It'll be a self-driving car. But those few of us who like to bike every day, like myself, are going to be. Already it's crazy biking around and people. I would say every other car is on their phone. Nothing's more dangerous than in our daily lives than when we drive around in this big tin can that can go 65 miles per hour, and yet we seem to love to multitask while doing it. But enough of that. Let's get to our subject. Yeah, someone referred to this mug. This is handmade by a local artisan or craftswoman and her husband in and around Boulder, Colorado. Pottery is one of my favorite gifts to myself every year, partially because you wind up breaking it once in a while, and then you get to get more and you're supporting good people. Alrighty, so when Elephant was a print magazine, we were national. We at some point decided to transition online. By we, I mean me, because I've rapidly lost my staff and lost my office, and I just went online. And immediately we jumped onto Twitter, and we jumped onto this relatively new thing called Facebook. And in the beginning, Facebook was a land of organic reach, which means that if you share something and people like it, people would see it. Your community would see it. You would basically see things that you wanted to see. Now it's more of a land of paid reach. So Facebook is continually kind of, here's organic reach, here's paid reach. In the beginning it was like all organic reach. Now it's mostly paid reach and organic reach from your friends. News organizations like Elephant Media, which is a bad word these days, is now very hard to see us. And on that note, very quickly, I would encourage people to support mindful, independent, mission-focused media that is seeking to do more than just have its own point of view, that is seeking the truth. And the truth is not a partisan thing generally. We end up in partisanship through truth, not truth through partisanship. Meaning, if we have a view on climate change that happens to align with the Democratic Party, it's not because we are liberals necessarily, it's because we looked at the science and it seems true. So please do read media that seems to be mission-focused and truth-focused, not partisan so much. So the main thing, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, which we now have, I think, 400,000 followers on 3 accounts, and that's just in basically 1 year, or Twitter, where we won #1 in the country twice for our environmental, our #green coverage, or Facebook, where we have 5 million fans. And I only mention all of that on 60 pages. I only mention all of that not because it's going to impress any girls in the bar, but because that way you know you can listen to me, that I've actually practiced this and tried to learn this. So the first thing to do is focus. So Elephant is not really active on Snapchat. Not because we don't like sending photos of our boobs to our best friends, but because we're already deeply involved in 60 pages, the aforementioned, on Facebook. Twitter we're doing a bit, Pinterest we're doing a bit, Instagram we're doing heavily, our own site, of course, blogs. Our own site is a form of social media, and we're only increasing that, kind of gamifying Elephant, to make it fun to kind of find your mindful articles that you want to support and your favorite authors that you want to support. So one footnote on that Facebook stuff: if you still want Elephant in your life, we're basically gone from Facebook. You have to get us from our newsletter, elephantjournal.com/newsletter. And that's one of the first tips, is to be flexible. So I've spent, 8-9 years online building up 5 million fans on 60 pages on Facebook. Facebook changes stuff. You have to kind of let go, and you have to move on, you have to move forward. So social media is always changing. Pokemon Go is this exciting, kind of amazing new thing with tons of opportunities in it. Not really yet for people like yourself, but you have to constantly be like a surfer. You have to constantly be training, swimming, looking for a good spot, looking for a new wave. Social media is not a stable thing. If you're looking for a stable thing, don't get on social media. If you're looking for a stable thing, just hang up this video now. Social media is not for you. If you're looking for surfing, fun, like different waves, and you can kind of treat the whitewater like a fun opportunity, or like in climbing we call them problems, but really they're fun. Then it's an exciting world, and it's evolving constantly, and it's also a little scary. So here's where it's exciting. So if you're a writer, if you're a potter, if you're a craftswoman or craftsman, or kind of mindful, right livelihood person, whatever your craft is, whatever your thing is, if you're a gardener, you can sell your product or connect with people who care about it in a meaningful, non-tacky way through whatever your favorite social media is. And that's really where I would advise you to go. Don't necessarily go to Snapchat or to Instagram. Go where you love it. So if you do want to do very little on social media, I recommend Instagram, because Instagram you can plug into Twitter and Facebook in a kind of non-tacky way that people can connect with on Twitter and Facebook. And of course, you can connect on Instagram. And the main advice I would give, which was given to me by Caitlin Turner, Gypsy Goddess, and I recommend you follow her, as well as at Elephant Journal, at Waylon Lewis, if you're crazy enough to want to follow me and my photos of whatever plastic bottles being obnoxious. I'm sort of eco-focused on my blog, on my Instagram account, so it may not be that fun, but at Walk the Talk Show, at Elephant Journal, and at Waylon Lewis are our three. And at Gypsy Goddess, kind of like Gypsy, Jet Set Goddess combined. She's the one who trained us. Basically, you have to be consistent. So you have to be consistent, you have to be personal, and it's real time. So again, if you don't want to be consistent, and if you don't want to put in real time, you know, Rachel Brathen has been a good friend for many years, genuinely, and she has put real time into Instagram and real heart. And if you just do it on a kind of shallow level, just with tons of hashtags and trying to get fans and followers, people will feel that. So it's just like on a first date, or if you're out with friends, if you're kind of promoting yourself constantly, people are going to feel that and not, ironically, not want to be near you. And if you're genuine, if you're coming from the heart, but you're not just completely self-obsessed or taking yourself too seriously, you know, there are those who talk about their feelings and their heart endlessly, and it seems to be incredibly selfish and what I would call emotionalism, and that's a blog that you all could put in there. Pauline, yeah, we don't have money for an app. We're independent mindful media, so sadly we don't have a lot of money. So if you want to keep Elephant going, go to elephantjournal.com/newsletter. And we are working on a very expensive ecosystem, which will be a sort of social media little water park ride within Elephant Journal, where you'll get to go do from section to section and support writers and find the best content that you want to read and share yourself. Similar to the site Threadless, which I'm a big fan of historically, or Kickstarter or Reddit. There's a lot of sites that kind of touch on this. Oh, it's raining right now. It's been super hot, and wildfires and drought in Colorado. We're getting a moment of rain. It's a nice sign. So, I don't know. I guess this is question time. I'm being super vague today, but the main thing is be consistent, be personal, be genuine. Don't just be promoting. Don't add more hype and noise to the world. The world is fine without you jumping into social media. Only jump in if you're going to be genuine and offer something genuine and helpful. And that's part of right livelihood. You want to be of service. You want to be there for people. And only do it if you're going to be consistent. Far better not to start and you know, save yourself from losing hours of your precious short human life to Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, etc., than to jump in kind of half-heartedly. All right, but the cool thing about this here is that you could be a writer, you can blog on elephantjournal.com/submit, and we'll edit you, and we'll promote you, and we'll feature you, we'll share you. You know, you can blog on your favorite, hopefully independent, mindful media sources. You can have your own videos, you can have your own blogs. If you're a writer, promote yourself, and then you can start making a living as a writer, which is kind of wonderful. It was my dream back in those 1990s. And then, what's the only other thing I would say? Oh, I would say one plug is that if you are happen to be interested in the fall, I think the application season's just starting, elephantjournal.com/academy. I believe that's the URL. Maybe not. It's academy.elephantjournal.com. Academy.elephantjournal.com. But you can just go to any page of Elephant and click on Elephant Academy up top. Anyway, there's we do a 4-month training program, and we're, again, in the field. We're doing this Facebook Live because it's a new opportunity to connect with you all. When Facebook or God closes one door, they open another. And in this case, Facebook closed organic reach a lot more for news, and they opened up Facebook Live, which, of course, in their case is rather self-interested, but that's fine, and we're jumping on that opportunity. So in keeping with that, elephant is actually active in the field. We have, between 9 and 35 million readers a month, and we do that through social media. So we use social media to connect. And whether you're wanting to promote vegan causes or social activism or your pottery or your Etsy store or whatever it is, your book, you can learn how to do that through social media. And we teach that. I'm present in it, as well as our editors, in a 4-month academy. And we train in journalism, we train in journalism ethics, we train in editing, which is tough stuff. We train in writing, which is even tougher stuff, but very simple at the same time. And we train in something else, the mindful life, generally. So come on, join. It does cost money, but it's incredibly cheap. Most of these programs are like $1,200 to $4,500. We, for many years, were completely free, and then we charged $100 because that reduced the flake factor. Like, people would jump in and then they would kind of fade off because it's a lot of work. The academy is like 10 to 15 hours a week. So, but you can also audit it, which is just a couple hours a week. So you'll find all that info anyway if you are interested. I don't want to do a commercial, but we put a ton of love into it. It's one of the most inspiring, fun things we do. It's real community. If you're in the middle of nowhere, which is a nice place to be, but you want to connect with other people who are seeking about how to mindfully connect their craft with the world, that's a great place to go. So we only charge $500 for 4 months. It's ridiculously cheap given the amount of time we all put into it and I put into it. And again, it's incredibly cheap compared to all the others. But we charge that mainly so that people just don't start and then flake, which is a kind of huge waste of our time. Alrighty, so I'm going to go through your questions or comments. So if you have a question or comment, throw it in there. Then we'll do a 2-minute meditation, meditation, and then we'll be out of here. Alrighty. Renee, awesome. Catherine, awesome. Pauline, thank you for the birthday wishes. I just turned 42. Marina, awesome. Salim, good morning to you. Savannah, amen. The editor is not putting their name on it, and also you can be personal in your intro, the elephant editor. Mariana Luz, working on developing my work that I'm called to do and searching for how I can make a living doing that work. So thanks. This is perfect for today. Yeah, so for specific instruction, I would join the academy or just research yourself online. The academy will actually give you responsibility, train you, but do whatever you want, obviously. Laura, awesome. Pauline, I do love this. Nicole, love this cup. Coffee is your best friend, Salim. Cool name, by the way. Erica, Laura, Emily. All right, I'm seeing a lot of sort of vague comments. It's a vague morning. It's Monday. But everyone's being very friendly, so that's nice. Jill, yeah, it's a very fascinating subject. How do you make a good, reasonable living doing what you love that's good for other people? Ashley, Marion. Yeah, a break from technology. Marion, that's a fantastic thing. I mostly took a break from technology yesterday, but then I worked all night until like 12:30 or something a.m. So it's partly why I'm so tired. Alrighty, Kyla. Yeah, letting go is good stuff, although letting go can be overrated. I think I wrote about that. The editor could leave that in comments. Pauline, yeah, we want to build an app, but right now you can kind of install Elephant on your phone. If I was looking for my phone, it's right there. If you want, you just save it to your desktop or whatever it's called. Save it to the top of your phone, and then it's basically like an app. So I have that on my phone. Alrighty, Kyla, how did you approach the struggle of being an original in a cookie cutter system? Well, Kyla, I still am in touch with my mentors and my bosses, both good and bad. I sought after mentors and bosses really hard. Back in the, I keep mentioning it today, but back in the 90s, we didn't have Kickstarter and all this stuff, which if I'd had Kickstarter in the 90s, I would have just started my Elephant right away. But I was broke and I had no money and I couldn't start anything. And I kind of had this false belief that I never could start anything. And I went to work for amazing organizations with amazing bosses, but most of them were kind of, you know, most older folks don't really care about training people. I mean, that's what we're trying to do in the academy, to give back. Most older people, at least at that time, didn't really, they were sort of insecure around young people. They didn't want to invest or empower young people. They were kind of wary of them and or bored of them or something. And at the same time, they were really bad at it when they did try to do it. I remember literally chasing some of my mentors around this campus one day, all day, and then just trying to get 5 minutes with them. And then I remember a month later being kind of called to the mat and being taken down publicly for being arrogant. And I'm sure I was arrogant, but I literally had spent all day chasing after them trying to get 5 minutes, and that was the only 5 minutes I got all that whole period of that whole quarter. So finding good mentors, and I did find some good mentors who actually did have a sense of humor and loved sort of young people and you know, wanted to train me. I was a wild horse, and I really appreciated that. And so mentors is a huge way to, as you say, how do you approach the struggle of being an original in a cookie cutter system? The other way is I did have cookie cutter jobs for really wonderful organizations, and I was horrible at it. I just really learned how bad I was at being unempowered and at second guessing myself all the time. I like to first guess myself. I constantly am wrong. I constantly don't know things. I constantly ask advice, and I think that's largely the reason that Elephant has succeeded, is that I really do get advice all the time. But second guessing yourself, where you're kind of constantly undermined and everything is up to the boss, is a hard way of making that happen. And we have that struggle with Elephant. So it's not that the boss is evil, but it's that training is really the difference. You need to have tons of training so that people can be empowered and act out of their own basic goodness, their own intelligence, their own caring, their own instincts. And until that happens, you really can't let go to those people. So the number one thing I would say is, if you're really, really bad at working in the cookie cutter system, you have no choice. You just have to figure it out. Great question, Kyla. First great question. Ding, ding, ding. If you feel like it, give her a like or a heart or something. Pauline, oh, you're in the academy. Yeah, so if you have any comments about what the academy is like, go for it. Dominic, what does joining the academy entail? You can check it out. It's Elephant Academy is a link on the main page. And there's a video there, and we have 4 sections over 4 months, and it's pretty darn affordable for now. It's pretty popular. It gets more and more popular, so eventually we'll raise the price, but for now it's super affordable. Oh, there's info in the comments there. And while you read that, I'm going to drink more coffee. All right. Yeah, Volton, you bet. If that's your real name, that's an amazingly cool name. Anna, Randy, yeah. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. Renee, I mean, the first best step, you're talking about leaving corporate world and jumping into writing and public speaking, is to start doing it now. Start doing it now. Do it before you leave. Start writing all the time now, whether it's in a journal or blogging on Elephant Journal or blogging on your own blog or whatever it is, private or public. Don't just fantasize and think about your future. Start doing it right now. And then you'll often find out that the future you fantasized about isn't what you want, and you'll find something slightly different. So like I just wrote my first book this year. I don't have it around, but I didn't write it because I thought of it and I thought that would be cool and it would be cool to be an author. I started writing it because I started writing it. I just started writing it organically. It just happened. And then before long, it had a good reaction from people, far better reaction than anything I'd ever written online, and where, you know, everyone loves to complain online, and this thing no one complained about, and so I wound up writing a book, and it's called Things I Would Like to Do With You, and it's about love from a Buddhist notion, Buddhist point of view, which isn't really Buddhist. It's really just about love with some space for room for change, and room for a sense of humor, and room for a sense of self, or being alone, or loneliness even. So you don't fuse into two people, two become one. You still have your two separate lives, but you're partners on a path of benefit. All right, Pauline. Number one advice for people discovering and exploring themselves in their 20s. That's a great question. For me, is meditation, and we'll get to that, and also study. You can't really meditate without study, and you can't study Buddhist or philosophical thought without practicing meditation. It becomes too intellectual or it becomes too unintellectual. So I would say meditation, practice, and study. You're going to look into the academy. Cool. That would be a fun way to have met. Yeah, letting go is overrated. I wrote a blog about that. My analogy is like, you don't tell a parent to let go. A parent who's stressed out, a parent who is having a hard time with their kid in Whole Foods or Safeway, you don't say, hey, just let go of the child and leave and go to a sauna and go to a spa and go exercise, go travel the world, take care of yourself. No, I mean, you can only let go once, or like with our analogy before, as a boss, you can only let go once you've trained someone enough that you can let go to them and they'll pick it up. So if you have a good babysitter, then you can let go and go work out or relax in the hot springs. But if you don't, you shouldn't let go. So letting go needs to be done as properly, as fully, with as much dignity as we do any action, mindfully. Sean, I am sweaty because I got out of the shower and the hot tub. So, and because I worked super late, I started working on my laptop at like 10 a.m. Or 9 a.m. and pretty much never got ready. So then I wound up showering right before this. But thank you for asking. Let's focus on the important things. Danielle, best piece of advice you would give yourself 5 years ago? Danielle, I mean, the main thing I would say to myself 5 years ago is that life is so unrelentingly hard, and that's okay. From the outside, we tend to judge people as having privilege or having lack of privilege or having hard lives or having easy lives or being fun or being cool or being in love. But when you get to know anyone who is, at least people who are trying to be genuine with themselves and helpful to others, you find out that, as the Buddha said in the Four Noble Truths, read it. The Buddha said it first. He probably didn't say it first, but the Four Noble Truths. Suffering, samsara, confusion, ego, aggression, selfishness, violence, depression, all these things are unrelenting. And until we can face them bravely and fully, until we can face the music with soft hearts but strong backs, like with a lot of grounded dignity but also very open, we can't learn from them and begin to heal all of that. So that is meditation instruction. That is also applies to politics. That also applies to the conflicts we're seeing right now with terrorism, with violence against police, with violence by police, with a lot of the sadness that's going on in the world. All right, Renee, you're now a featured author. Danielle, thank you for that question. If anyone feels like liking her question, that's a great question. It's a great question to ask yourself, all of you. What is the most valuable piece of advice to give yourself 5 years ago? I think 5 years ago, I was working super hard, nonstop. I was kind of overwhelmed. I was having a good life, but a hard life. And if I had known that it would have been really, really, really hard for the next 5 years, I would have kind of lowered my bar, not in a bad way, in a good way. So in Buddhism, we talk about that the flip side of fear is hope, and that both hope and fear take us out of the present moment. And that if we're in the present moment, like a samurai sword, like a razor's edge, we can be free of both hope, which is sort of fantasy, and fear, which is cocoon, what Trungpa Rinpoche calls cocoon. So I wrote about cocoon on Elephant Journal. We could put that in the comments, dear editor. Say who you are, editor, and if you leave a comment, say where you are. Laura, fear of writing my book, personal, but I know it will help others. Yeah, Laura, completely. But I would encourage, at least just personally, I wrote my first book not because I was writing a book, but because I was just writing. And writing Hemingway style, you just got to be consistent. Just do it. It's a craft. Try and say something that's helpful. That isn't just your brilliant craft. I think, when I was young, I was a talented writer. I was usually first in my class, but I was trying to be a great writer. I was trying to write the next great American novel, and instead you have to have something to say. You have to have something to write about. You have to. It's not writing. Isn't just wordplay. It's more than that. You have to connect, and I think a lot of our best writers today have done a wonderful job of that. So, I personally would encourage you to serialize your chapters one at a time, a la Dickens. That's how I did it. I did it on Elephant Journal. You can do it on Elephant Journal if the message is mindful or helpful. Danielle, you bet. Thank you. Any advice to help me figure out my thing? It's not one of those easy things like writing, dancing, singing, so on. Janelle, yeah. So it's kind of a Venn diagram, Venn diagrams where there's like a couple ball circles and they overlap, and whatever is in the middle is your thing. So your thing is whatever you're good at, whatever you love doing that you're also good at, whatever you can make money doing in some creative way is fine, that you're also good at, that is good for others, and it has to be good for others. I think I got it mixed up, but it's all in my Right Livelihood blog. But basically, it's got to serve those four things. So think about when you're happiest, what you're best at, and what is helpful to others, and what you can make a living doing. All right, from West Virginia. My grandma and auntie are in West Virginia. Yeah, well, I'm not sure what we're doing either. Alrighty, seems to be all the questions. And thank you so much. We'll do 2 minutes of meditation if you want to join in. If not, sayonara. All right, so take a great posture. You can kind of wiggle your sit bones until you feel stable but relaxed. Take a deep breath, get some oxygen up here. Rarely do we take a deep breath all day long unless we exercise. That's why exercise can be so helpful. Take a deep breath into the top of your lungs. Very top, and clear it out. Then with your eyes open, this is Buddhist meditation, shamatha, which is defined as resting, training ourselves to be able to rest in the present moment. So find your breath in and out. Follow your breath in and out. Let's do that, say 5 times. Just follow your breath. Nothing is happening except for your breath in and out. Hands are just flat on your thighs. Shoulders up, back, down, relaxed. And now the meditation part is when you find yourself thinking. You're thinking about work. You're thinking about what you have to do today. You're thinking about lunch. You're thinking about losing 5 pounds. You're thinking about a girl. You're thinking about a boy. You're thinking about your dog. Whatever it is, good or bad, happy or sad, label it thinking. I'm thinking. Just silently say thinking to yourself and return your attention to your breath. Let's try that 5 times. And in so doing, we're creating peace. We're creating our ability to be present, from which all good things come. Then you can label happiness. It's just thinking. Return to the present moment where happiness actually resides. Then you can offer a bow with good posture, deep breath of respect to everyone on this call. We do this every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. The videos are also recorded on facebook.com/Elephant Journal, as well as YouTube, Elephant's channel. And I hope you have a joyful, a truly fundamentally joyful and genuine week. And if you feel sad, that's good, that's okay. Sadness can be genuine and sweet. And I hope you can go forward on your path of being of service, which is true happiness. Thank you so much. Namaste.